Here's your wrestling news for May 20th, 2023, and we're starting off with AEW, and after the brawl backstage at All Out, the company wasted no time in parting ways with Ace Steel. Steel reportedly bit Kenny Omega and threw a chair at Nick Jackson during the backstage fight, and fans were shocked to learn this week that he has been rehired. Steel has reportedly been rehired as part of CM Punk's return to AEW programming, but sources within the company are telling a different story. When the Wrestling Observer newsletter reached out to AEW, they flat out denied that Steel has been rehired, and it is noted that he was in talks with Impact as of just a few weeks ago. Tony Khan told Punk that Steel could have his job back and work closely with Punk, but that he would work remotely and not be brought to the Collision tapings, but Punk refused those terms. This is another obstacle for AEW, as it has also been reported that the company and Punk are once again at odds, which is why his name was pulled from the announcement confirming Collision for next month. After Steel was fired from AEW last year, fans expected CM Punk to not be far behind, and while he is still with the company for the time being, his future on TV remains very uncertain. So what will happen if the worst happens and CM Punk does not appear at AEW Collision? With or without the self-proclaimed voice of the voiceless, AEW Collision will premiere on June 17th, and the company is cautiously making alternative plans. PW Insider reports that if AEW and Punk can't make amends, then Collision will happen without him and will likely be moving from its current location in Chicago, Illinois. The belief is that the Chicago crowd will be focused all night long on Punk's return and could potentially hijack the show if Punk doesn't appear on the broadcast. Now, with less than a month to find a new venue, AEW will have its work cut out finding a new location, which may result in Tony Khan choosing a familiar venue. After all, Khan has had Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida at his disposal, and while a portion of fans there would be vocal in wanting to see Punk, it wouldn't be as bad as the fervent crowd in Chicago. AEW Collision and Punk's return was supposed to kick off a huge summer for the company and would prove to be a turning point after All Out 2022. If AEW does announce a change of venue, then it'll be seen as a sign that plans for Punk has fallen apart and Tony Khan is hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. But what do you think? Will CM Punk show up to Collision in Chicago? And would you even allow him to, given what's transpired? Share your thoughts below. For many fans, the appeal of AEW Collision will be to see Punk in action 9 months after fans last saw him in the ring. In addition to his suspension, Punk has been out recovering from a torn triceps injury, but he may not be the only major return on the premiere episode. In the announcement by Warner Bros. Discovery confirming AEW Collision, several names were listed for the roster, including the currently injured Andrade El Idolo. As explained in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, given that Andrade had his torn pec surgery in November, the time frame lines up perfectly for him to be fully recovered by early June, making a return on the very first Collision a real possibility. While speaking with Zane Lowe on New Music Daily, Bad Bunny discussed the match and admitted that he was left seriously worse for wear once things were said and done. He said, "I suffered, I got hurt. My back, my whole body, bro, my whole body. I felt that I was going to die after that match. I really thought that I was going to die after the match, but it's part of it. I was prepared then, and now I'm gonna drop a song. I know, I'm a crazy guy, I love it, and that's what matters." Despite thinking he was going to die, Bunny said that the match will go down as one of the greatest things in his life, and added that it was on a whole different level to appearing on WrestleMania 37. WWE has already begun talks about bringing Bad Bunny back, with plans reportedly being for him to do something at SummerSlam, and we expect another stellar performance the next time he's in the ring. At last June's Forbidden Door event, Jon Moxley captured the interim AEW World Championship, defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi to win the vacant gold. Given that the two men are considered two of the very best in their respective companies, fans were understandably thrilled by the match, but one name who hasn't bothered to watch it is Moxley himself. Speaking to Sports Illustrated ahead of his return to New Japan, Moxley said that he's never watched the match and never will, adding that it was so perfect in the moment that he doesn't feel it needs rewatching. Moxley is, by his own admission, his own worst critic and doesn't want to taint the magical match, so a rewatch isn't in the cards for the former AEW World Champion. And we're ending with Drew McIntyre, somebody fans haven't seen for a while, and the Scottish Warrior's time with WWE is drawing to a close. With McIntyre's contract set to expire in early 2024, there's a ton of questions about his future, but now a question about his current situation has been answered. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer writes that the biggest reason for McIntyre not being on TV right now is creative, and once they have an approved idea, he will be back on screen. Drew's creative direction has been a source of conversation during his absence, with the former world champion saying he'll only agree to changes if he feels they make sense. During his time away, a heel turn has been pitched to McIntyre, but given that he is yet to return, it appears that Drew thought the idea of a return and immediately turning wasn't the right call. McIntyre has not asked to leave, but has yet to agree to a new deal. And what do you think he should do next? Sound off in the comments below. In WWE, Rollins is preparing for a huge match with AJ Styles, as the pair will compete for the World Heavyweight Championship at Night of Champions, but Seth's Marvel commitments will also cause issues next week. In the Wrestling Observer, it's reported that Rollins won't be on next week's Raw either, as he will still be filming his role for the huge movie project. Little is known about Rollins' role in the film, but with Seth taking at least 2 weeks off to film his scenes, it seems he'll be far more than a background character. There have been conflicting reports about whether his role and the possibility of others have made WWE hesitant on making Rollins the next World Heavyweight Champion, and it remains to be seen when he'll next be on WWE TV. And we're ending with Mustafa Ali, who will challenge for the Intercontinental Championship at Night of Champions. Ali earned a title opportunity by winning a Battle Royal during this week's Raw, and the positive superstar has some big ideas. Speaking during the latest episode of The Bump, Ali spoke about winning the title and said he intends to defend the championship on both Raw and Smackdown going forward. Not only that, but Ali also suggested that a new show could be created for Wednesdays, which would feature the Intercontinental Championship as the top prize, and called out Apollo Crews, Ricochet, Dolph Ziggler, and NXT champion Carmelo Hayes as potential opponents. While Ali has big plans for his title reign, he'll first have to dethrone Gunther, a task that is easier said than done. And what do you think to Ali's ideas? Let us know in the comments below.